Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Greetings of peace, dear viewers, and welcome to another episode of She in Islam. I hope you're having a wonderful Ramadan Kareem, inshallah. And today, inshallah, we have a very interesting and fascinating guest, my dear sister, Sharifa Carlos. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Sister Sharifa has her master's degree in English composition and rhetoric from the United States and is currently an instructor in the College of Technology. Am I correct?
Correct.
Right, mashallah. So, dear Sharifa, can you give us a little bit of a background first about your conversion? Because apparently, of course, you were not born a Muslim, right?
Right.
So just some brief
Well, my conversion was actually, it's a story of plans. I was with a group of Muslims, Christians and Jews, and these people were trying to destroy Islam. I was recruited and I thought I was doing a wonderful thing, that I wanted to come in and save the Muslim woman from this horrible, oppressive religion of Islam.
So you were actually with a group of people who were out to change Muslims away from Islam. Is that not correct?
Exactly.
Wow,
they didn't want them to choose any specific religion. Just don't practice Islam. That's
so
the most important thing.
So you were with people whose aim and mission was to get people out of Islam?
Yes.
Subhanallah.
And they were paying for my education, and they wanted me to work, especially with women's rights and so forth, in order to get the women away from practicing Islam.
Right. And I think, as I remember from our previous conversations, they actually kind of put their eyes on you right from high school, right? And tried from end of high school to put you on that career path, right?
Yeah, they did. They did. And in my studies of Islam, in order to destroy it, I had to read the Quran. And as I read through the Quran, it called to me. There was such beauty and logic inside the Quran. And that is the thing that really drew me to become a Muslim, that everything in Islam makes sense. Everything in Islam has a reason you can understand. And if you believe in God and you know that His knowledge is greater than ours, then everything else follows.
SubhanAllah. So instead of going the path that they had planned for you, you went the path that Allah had planned for you.
Exactly.
SubhanAllah. Allahu Akbar. I'm sure that wasn't in their plan.
Not at all.
Not at all. SubhanAllah. But mashallah, you still finished your master's in rhetoric, which maybe for our viewers, rhetoric is speech. Is that speech writing and speech giving?
Not necessarily. The composition would be writing and speech writing and so forth. The rhetoric is persuasion.
Persuasion, so the art of persuasion.
Right, I had to study Socrates and Plato and the philosophers and their ideas on how to persuade.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Well, that brings us to our topic today. Today we're going to talk about istikhara, which is asking Allah basically when we want to make a choice about something. What is istikhara?
Okay, well, especially us as women, many times in our life we come up against something that is very important to us,
yes,
and we really don't know what we should do.
Marriage, divorce.
Exactly.
Studying, not working.
Right, traveling or not traveling. And in order to make that decision, of course the Quran tells us to seek out the wise people and speak with them, but we are also told to make istikhara. Now istikhara is a prayer where you ask Allah to make the choice for you. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't really get. When you make istikhara, one of the most beautiful things about it is that you're saying in istikhara, oh Allah, you have the power and I have no power. Oh Allah, you are the one who has the knowledge and I have no knowledge. So you're taking this decision a step further because Allah is the one that knows everything. And because He knows everything, He knows what's good for you and what's bad for you. And subhanAllah, many times we don't know what's the best thing for us. We don't know the outcome of everything that can possibly happen, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows every single outcome that can possibly happen.
Exactly. I've been in situations in my life where you really is like, I don't know what to do anymore. And the best feeling, because I've tried istikhara, make dua istikhara and salat istikhara, just to let go. Just to totally hand over. Like to me, I kind of picture it like you're driving your life, like you're sitting in the driver's seat, trying to steering wheel, and just letting go and say, Allah, please just take over. I don't know which way to do it anymore, and I know whatever decision you take for me is going to be the best, whether I like it or I don't even like it. Whether I see the wisdom in it or not, subhanAllah, but so many times, especially in cases of marriage, divorce,
Yeah, a lot of times, I mean, most people probably their first instance of making istikhara is usually the marriage decision.
Right.
It's a young woman and she's, you know, been presented with a man and she doesn't know. She's never been married, she has no ideas, her father said something, her cousins say something, her friends say something else, and she, you know, she doesn't know the guy most of the time.
Marriage is such a life-altering decision.
It is.
I mean, it can make her or break her.
Exactly.
Really, I mean, for 20 years, 30 years down the road sometimes, you know, depending on the family pressures as well of ease of divorce, possibly. Maybe it's not so easy. So if she chooses wrong, you know, she's in trouble. If she chooses right, alhamdulillah. So
yeah, and again, the beauty of istikhara. When you make the istikhara, what you're doing is you're letting go of the control. So no matter what happens,
you know it's good.
It's going to be good for you. And I'll give you an example. Imagine I were to give you 2 glasses. Now, I prepared those glasses. I know what's in those glasses. In one, there is poison. In the other, there's a virus. Now, I know what's inside them, and you are forced to drink from one of these 2. You have no other choice but to drink from one of these 2. And you don't know which one to choose because you don't know what's inside them. You just know that these are your 2 choices. Well, in our life, we have choices, and sometimes it's 2 different things. And Allah knows what those choices have as outcomes. So subhanAllah, if I gave you these and you said to me, you know what, you know what's inside them, you choose for me. Choose for me the one that's best. And this is what you do. When you make istikhara, you say, oh Allah, you have the power, you have the knowledge, decide for me, which is the best.
SubhanAllah. Well, we'll hold that thought for a minute, inshallah, and your viewers will be back in just a moment.
One song can change a moment. One idea can change a world. One step can start a journey. But a prayer can change even the impossible.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our topic about istikhara, the prayer that we make to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make decisions. So, dear Sharifa, so you were saying that we let go. When we pray istikhara, it's a matter of just letting go and knowing that the outcome is going to be for our good no matter what the outcome is.
Exactly. Now, I want you to think of, I mean, this is not the way of Allah, but we have a limited understanding.
Yeah, of course.
In science fiction shows, you see how there's parallel worlds.
Yeah.
And these parallel worlds all are based on different decisions that we make.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, in those movies, yeah.
In those movies, exactly. So if there's someone who knows what each action is going to take you to as a parallel world, then that person can control what happens. Mm-hmm. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows more than this. He knows every possible way, every possible action, every possible outcome.
And has the good, our good interest in mind.
Exactly.
On top of everything.
Exactly. And you know, subhanAllah, He knows everything that can possibly happen with every move that you make. So when you say to Allah, make this decision for me, sometimes something happens that we think will be horrible. Example, you're praying for marriage.
Yeah, what about when women pray for marriage? You know, they find, yes, and they've taken that decision, turns out marriage is horrible.
Yes.
And so, you know, some women at that point might doubt their istikhara and say, you know, I asked istikhara and look what happened.
Yeah,
so
and this
how
is very dangerous.
Compatible? Yes.
This is very dangerous because we have to realize when we say that I give you the decision, Allah, oh Allah, give me that which is best for me in this life and in the next life. Okay? And keep away from me those things that are bad for me in this life and the next life. When you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do that, you need to trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to do exactly that.
I have to have that full assurance, no matter what the outcome. There's some good in it for me, even if I don't see it.
Exactly. So even if you end up with a husband who is, I mean, from the worst, he beats you, he curses your family, he doesn't give you the money that he's supposed to give you, he doesn't do anything that he's supposed to do as a man.
After praying istikhara.
After istikhara, you got this man.
Right.
So now you sit back and you're like, why? But the thing is, why? The answer is simple. because this is better for you than
Whatever
the
else
alternative would have been. And sometimes something that we think is bad for us is actually good for us.
It might build our strength. It might give us so much ajr for having the patience, for example. Maybe Allah knows, for example, I'm just giving example, that being patient will us raise to degrees in Jannah that we would say, yeah, please Allah, give me more of this so I can have more degrees, for example, of patience.
Yes, and even if that marriage leads to a divorce,
right?
Okay, that divorce has benefit for you. Maybe, something people actually, pretty much a lot of the Muslims hate, the idea of polygamy. Most girls would not go into the idea saying, oh yes, I want a husband that has 3 wives, and I want to be number 4. I mean, most of us would say no way to such a situation. But you've been through a horrible situation before. You end up divorced, you have children, and the only option at this point to you turns out to be this man that was married before. You would be more likely to accept him after your situation than you would have been before. And maybe Allah in that man gives you the blessings and the barakah that you should be having, because you would not have accepted it before. Also, there's just the fact that if you had children and you ended up divorced, maybe that child itself is the barakah that was needed for you to go forward. Maybe raising a child by yourself is something that you needed to do in order to make that child something that Allah has planned for him in the future. We don't know the possible outcomes.
Strength that we're building that we might need at another point in life. When
exactly.
It's like, oh, that came in handy, that resilience I built up, for example.
And we also have to keep in mind that many times when we are happy, when we're relaxed, when everything is nice, we forget Allah.
Yes,
we forget Allah. We don't call on Him as much when we are happy than we do when we are having a problem.
Yes, and as us ladies, we decide to, concentrate on shopping and this and that and family and friends and whatnot. And like you said, we tend to forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes.
So sometimes the trial brings us back to Allah, makes us closer to Allah, purifies us so that we are ready for that final step, which is Jannah. And that's our goal.
Of course. Yes, of course. So are there special ways to make istikhara? I mean, many times when I, for example, at my work, right, staff would come to me, oh, should I, be applying somewhere else, or should I stay, or should I do? I said, don't do anything without praying istikhara. They go off and they pray, and they said, but there's no sign. But and I said, there doesn't have to be like this aha type, with background music type moment. You know what I mean? Like
right.
The angelic type moment.
Yeah.
So is that correct for me to assume that there doesn't have to be that?
No, there doesn't. When you make istikhara, what you're doing, you're saying, Allah, choose for me. So when you finish, make your decision and go forward. If your decision is correct, it will go through.
Exactly.
Okay? Even there might be some resistance beforehand. That does not necessarily mean that it's not what's meant for you. Because you told Allah, if it's good for me, make it happen. If it's not good for me, stop it.
Yes.
So if it gets stopped, dead, no way to go forward, now you know this was not the way you were supposed to go.
No matter how hard you tried.
No matter how hard you tried.
It's not at the first sign, oh, well, there's a, the battery in the flashlight didn't work. Oh, that's a big sign from Allah. No, I mean, keep pushing, try something else, right? Get the candles, for example, or whatever. I mean, we have to keep trying and pushing with our decision. And like you said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will stop it for sure if it is not meant to happen. And if it's something bad for us in dunya and akhirah. And inshallah, we'll be back in a second, dear viewers. Please stay with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers. We are on the very important and interesting topic of istikhara, something that none of us Muslims should do without. And with us is my dear sister Sharifa. And so Sharifa, we just were talking about when outcomes after we turn to Allah and we ask for guidance and we ask for a decision for Allah to show us which is the right way, which is good for us in dunya, in this world, and in akhirah, in the hereafter. And the outcome is not as we expected, meaning we, let's say, wanted to travel somewhere because we wanted to have, it didn't work. And they would say, oh, but we asked for the right decision and we were more miserable staying than having traveled. So what would be, what if people, what about people not accepting this?
Well, when you don't accept the result of the istikhara, then what you're essentially saying is that you don't trust Allah. Exactly. I know this is very strong to say this.
Yes, but it is real, that's the fact.
Yes, in reality,
yes.
If you know that someone knows something better than you do, then you will accept what they say. For instance, another analogy, I used to have a cat, and I lived in the States in an apartment where cats were not allowed. You're not allowed to have any animals. And when I was going to have the house sprayed, the landlady said she was coming to the house. So I didn't want her to see the cat. So I grabbed the cat, put him in my car, and I'm gonna drive off to a friend's house, leave the cat there. I know that if that cat stays in the house, that cat is gonna be homeless, and so am I. The cat doesn't know that.
Right.
So for the cat, getting in that car was the worst possible thing that could happen.
And being left in somebody's house and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Well, no, he freaked out in the car. He grabbed me from the back of the head. So we have a tendency to be reflexive like that. We act based on what we know, and we don't remember or try to keep in mind that Allah knows better.
Yes.
When we say to Allah, choose for me the best, Allah is choosing the best.
Yes.
Allah is what you expect Him to be, and Allah is the most merciful. Allah is the most kind. Allah is the one who knows everything.
Who wants the best for you.
So we need to trust what He says.
That's true. It's just like the analogy of children. Parents, oftentimes make their children do something that the children would hate, and they don't see the big picture.
Right.
Right? But we see the big picture. Oftentimes, like, let's say a little timeout or something, because we give kids consequences because we see the big picture of if we don't give those consequences, what that child will be like as an adult, from our experience. So it's of course, in a much larger and larger way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sees everything in the past and the future, and so always wants the best for us, subhanallah. What about those people saying that they're waiting for dreams?
Well, there is no such thing in the Quran or the Sunnah that says that you need to have a dream. Istikhara, basically, like I said before, that don't expect a dream, don't expect a flash of lightning, something that says, that's it, this is what I want. Sometimes you get this. There are situations where a person makes this istikhara. A woman makes this istikhara and she sleeps, she dreams about this guy and she knows that he's the right one. Or she dreams something that she interprets to understand this is the right decision. And there are situations where you make istikhara and it's like in your heart, this is what I want, this is the right way. And you go forward and it's like straight. There are situations where you're still left not really knowing 100% what to do. In this, one thing I can recommend is going and talking to people.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's okay to, we don't only have to do istikhara, we can add to that our dear friends, trusted people in the community, our parents, family, whom we can actually consult, right?
Exactly. Even in the Quran, Allah says, ask those who know.
Yeah.
So you need to go to people who have knowledge and so forth, because it could possibly be that through the person that you're talking to, Allah brings you the answer.
Yes.
There are many ways for the answer to come to you. But again, go forward with what you think is the right thing and trust Allah. If it's right, it's going to happen.
Exactly. Like, I would like to give an example. Health issues. Let's say one of our sisters is facing, God forbid, some kind of a cancer, right? And she's trying to make a big decision, chemotherapy, no chemotherapy. So she of course should be asking the doctors, right? She should be getting knowledge on her own, maybe on reading, on information, listening to people who've been through it. In addition to, of course, at the end then, istikhara, based on that information that she's been given.
Well, of
right?
course, because
Yes.
even in matters of security, the man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, should I tie my camel or should I trust Allah? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, tie your camel and trust Allah.
Yes.
So when we make decisions, of course, go and ask the people. Ask people who know. Get the information. Make istikhara. And the combination of it all will give you the answer. And again, go forward. Go forward with what you think
Take that decision
is right.
and just do it.
Exactly.
Very logical.
Many
very
people,
methodical.
they do all of this and they make istikhara, and like even in
And then
here,
they wait for some sign or something.
Yes.
Yes.
But no, even here, like in Kuwait, mashallah, tabarakallah, the government can send you outside for treatment.
Yes.
So you make the istikhara and you feel like, I'm going to try to go outside. But somehow it's prevented. You end up staying in
Passport doesn't
Kuwait.
work or whatever. And then
Something
subhanallah.
happens, you don't make it outside the country. This is what Allah wanted for you. You went forward based on what you thought, but Allah did what He wanted based on what He knows is the best for you.
And after you've asked Him, of course. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, subhanallah. That's so true. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah for this istikhara, that we have that ability to make istikhara.
It's actually a blessing from Allah that
is.
He is giving us the ability to take from His power. Not taking power from Him, but using what He has and His knowledge to our advantage.
He's asking us, use this,
Yes.
and I'll be there for you.
Exactly.
Subhanallah,
He's
subhanallah.
saying to us, I know, you don't know. Ask me and I will guide you to the right way. I will tell you what is the right way to do. And subhanallah.
What a blessing, subhanallah. Wallah, we're lucky, alhamdulillah. Inshallah, we'll be back in just a moment, dear viewers, with this interesting topic on istikhara.
The table is a meeting place, a gathering ground, the source of sustenance and nourishment, festivity, safety, and satisfaction. A person cooking is a person giving. Even the simplest food is a gift. Years, months, days. Time goes by so fast, and we're only left with memories. I wish my life comes with tools, pause, play, and rewind, so I could go back to the lovely family gathering.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers. We're back with our fascinating topic on istikhara, something that we all need to learn to make part of our everyday life, that we need to incorporate all the time to find this certain kind of assurance from Allah and peace in our hearts. So, dear sister, some people have this habit of praying istikhara or wanting to make a decision and thinking that the istikhara itself is opening the Quran, saying Bismillah, whatever they say, opening the Quran, putting their finger and finding this is like supposed to be a sign for them. What do you have to say about that?
Again, there's no signs in Islam, okay?
Yes.
So essentially, basically, what I had kept saying, when it's time, you make your istikhara, you ask Allah to make the decision, and you go forward with what you think is correct. And you have to keep in mind, Rasulullah ﷺ said that if all the people in the world got together to do something good for you, if Allah did not want it to happen, it wouldn't happen. And if all of them got together to do something bad for you, and Allah did not want that to happen, it wouldn't happen. So, subhanAllah, we sometimes can be highly emotional. As women, we let emotion guide us and lead us. But the greatest emotion is peace.
Yes, tranquility.
Tranquility.
That this istikhara gives you, that tranquility and serenity that you reach. When you reach that point of completely having trusted Allah and giving over to Him, there is no feeling equal to that.
And that's the key. That's the key. You make your istikhara and you leave it in the hands of Allah. Allah, take care of it for me.
Yes.
SubhanAllah, it is like a huge pressure removed.
It is.
That's it. Whatever happens, this is what Allah wants for me. Let's go.
And I'm speaking from personal experience. I mean, if somebody might be telling me this, maybe that's what they're feeling, whatever. But I've felt that immediate lifting of the weight. when you are down in the dumps, let's say, right, about whatever issue it is, and you think there's no end to it, and you're, you know, as a woman, we often cry, or we get, like you said, very emotional about it, all upset and worry, and that's all we're thinking about, right? We mull things over. We're doing the dishes and we're thinking about it. We're taking the kids and we're thinking about it. This is like taking over our life. And all of a sudden it's like, hold on, istikhara, stop. And then you do that and you just decide, okay, Allah, just take over for me. Please, just take over. I have nothing to do with this anymore. Please just do this for me. Yeah. And that weight, that immediate feeling of that, you just like kind of like take that package of worry, put that aside, you make your decision, and then you trust Allah.
Yeah. See, the point is the trust.
The trust.
You have to trust that Allah knows and you don't know.
Yes, yes.
Allah has power. I have no power whatsoever. I don't even have power to go out and come back without hurting myself.
Yeah.
Something silly, you trip over something, you touch something you shouldn't touch, and you can get hurt, and you don't even know that this was going to happen. You have no power.
Exactly.
Everything is in the hands of Allah. So when you make istikhara, you say, Allah, take over.
SubhanAllah, what a wonderful tool Allah has given us for our everyday life. And you know, istikhara, of course, is not to be abused. We don't need to make istikhara for our tiny little decisions. Shall I use salt or pepper on my, you know, we do have to use wisdom and using istikhara for our life decisions, things that are life altering. But alhamdulillah for this wonderful tool. Allah is kind and merciful, like you said, inshallah. And jazakallah khair for being with us. It was
Thank
really
you very much for inviting
wonderful
me.
to have you on my show. You're a dear friend of mine and a dear sister. So inshallah we will have some more episodes with you, inshallah.
Inshallah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, inshallah. So thank you, dear viewers, for being with us today on this interesting subject. Please make istikhara part of your life. When you have big decisions to make, it is so important to turn to Allah and to trust Him. So I leave you with that lesson for today in Ramadan, inshallah. Enjoy your iftar today and don't forget your Taraweeh prayers. May you get the best out of Ramadan, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.